Well, it's time for the finale, everybody, of the Mario trilogy. We talked about enemies, we talked about good guys, but it's time to talk about the big guy, the ultimate evil of the Mario franchise. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. For this episode, we're talking about one King of Koopas, the super villain of the video game award winner. It's a real thing. Don't look it up, though. It's a real thing. You can trust me on this. Oh, whatever. This is Bowser, or King Koopa in Japan. Bowser is a draconic turtle guy. He has a spiky shell, he has snazzy spike collars, and has flaming red hair. His powers include fire breath, super strength, minor sorcery powers, extreme durability. I mean, he's been dunked in lava how many times and has been just fine? Oh, and he survived his entire castle falling on him. And one time he got sucked into a black hole, and all that happened was that he shrunk. So, yeah. Bowser's biggest weakness is his stubbornness and bad temper. He's one of those guys who tends to rush into things without thinking, and tends to try to muscle his way out of most problems. So, that often leads to his defeats. And if anything doesn't go his way, he tends to hurt somebody. Bowser first appeared in Super Mario Bros. For the NES, and this game pretty concretely established the formula of the Bowser appearances. He kidnaps Princess Peach, ruler of the Mushroom Kingdom, so Mario has to rescue her. Throughout the game's first 7 worlds, you encounter characters who look like Bowser, but if you kill them with fireballs, it's revealed they're just regular enemies that got transformed to look like Bowser. Bowser himself doesn't show up till the end of the game, where he combines the attack patterns of the previous Bowser clones. He can breathe fire and throw hammers instead of just one or the other like the other guys. Unfortunately, this game also reveals another one of Bowser's weaknesses. He tends to be terrible at picking arenas, as in this game all you have to do to defeat him is touch the axe at the end of his bridge. This is a recurring thing, and Bowser never seems to get the hint that maybe you shouldn't have things in your arena that are specifically designed to hurt you. Bowser skipped over Mario 2, but made his glorious return in Mario 3. This time he sends his children, more on them later, to kidnap the kings of the local kingdoms as a distraction, so Mario will be too busy on a quest so he can kidnap the princess. This time when you fight Bowser, he doesn't have a button that sends him into lava. That's an improvement, but unfortunately this time around he has a breakable floor that he ends up smashing through. So, 1 step forward, 2 falls back. In Mario World, Bowser invades Dinosaur Land and kidnaps the princess and the Yoshis. In this game, we're introduced to a recurring form of transport for Bowser, the Koopa Clown Car, a large helicopter-like thing that looks like a clown head. This time, you defeat Bowser by throwing disarmed Robo-Koopas at him. This eventually causes the car to break down, he drops the princess and whirls off into the horizon. In Mario 64, Bowser takes over Peach's castle and steals the stars that power it, I guess, sealing everyone in the castle into the walls. In this game, Bowser's fought by picking him up by the tail and throwing him at bombs, which are in the arena because why not? In Mario Sunshine, a major bombshell is dropped about Bowser. Well, again, but more on him later. Anyway, Bowser speaks fully voice act in this game, and you fight him in a hot tub that you have to knock out of the sky. Okay, from this point on, Bowser is pretty typical. Kidnap the princess, Mario kicks his butt, the end. Or sometimes he becomes large, but that's about the only difference. One exception to this formula is Mario 3D World, where instead of kidnapping the princess this time, he kidnaps these fairies known as Sprixies instead because, well, the game never actually explains why he wants them. In this game, he has a whole theme park, and he gets to use power-ups for the first time, using the game's Super Belt item to become Meowser. And eventually he uses the Double Cherry item to clone himself. Then this game's follow-up expansion DLC thing, I don't know what this exactly qualifies as Bowser's Fury. Bowser has been terraformed into a gigantic form that can only be defeated by light. So, yeah, pretty awesome. In Mario spin-offs, Bowser's usually a playable character. One major exception, though, is Mario Party, where instead, in most games, he comes along to ruin everyone's time and cause bad luck to whoever encounters him. Though he did get his own mode in Mario Party 10, and Superstars allows you to play as him, no strings attached. In RPGs, Bowser's typically not the main antagonist to them. Instead, they're usually some other threat that kicks Bowser to the sideline. In the first Mario RPG, for example, he gets foiled in his plot to kidnap the princess by the actual bad guys, the Smithy Gang. So eventually Bowser needs to team up with Mario to take down the larger threat. About the only RPGs where Bowser's the main antagonist are Paper Mario, which is basically a typical Mario story that just kind of stretched out. Sticker Star is another game in the series where he's the final boss, and it's basically what I just said. He's also the final boss of Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, where he teams up with his Paper Mario counterpart to win. One thing to note, though, is that in the first 2 Mario and Luigi games, Bowser is technically the final boss, but over those times he's possessed by the true antagonist, so does that really count? And then there's the 3rd game in the series, Bowser's Inside Story, which is the closest thing we've had to a game focused on Bowser, as Bowser is pretty much the main character of this game. You see, this game's plot has Bowser eat a strange mushroom, which causes him to suck up the residents of the Mushroom Kingdom into his stomach. And Mario and Luigi go through his body to assist him in taking down the game's villain, who has commandeered Bowser's castle. In fact, Bowser actually fights the final boss of this game, who is an evil clone of himself, except he's already evil, so I guess evil-er. And oh man, the final boss of this game was just the coolest thing ever as a kid. I had grinded through this game for so long, getting through the tough bosses. Oh, those white blood cell guys can still bite me. And oh man, when I got here, the music swelled. Bowser was like, "This kingdom is not yours and you die." Oh, and the ending where you just repeatedly punch him to death. Oh man, it was so good. Anyways, Bowser's also been a frequent player in Smash Bros., being in every game since Melee. Speaking of Melee, this game introduced a new form for Bowser known as Giga Bowser. Sure, Bowser has grown large before, but this time it's like a whole new form. When he's in this form, he gets super strong and even more durable. This guy left such an impact that he ended up becoming an attack in some way every Smash game ever since. Bowser, along with Donkey Kong, also appeared as a guest character in Skylanders for Nintendo devices. Yeah, remember Skylanders? Actually, you remember the whole trend where you bought toys and they ended up in a video game? I still remember that time. Whatever happened to it? Yeah, but then again, you spent like $100 just for a full roster, so... Actually, no, like $200, so... It was more like microtransactions in real life for something like that, I don't know. I have a love-hate relation with that era. In non-video game media, Bowser's still the main antagonist, though in early Mario adaptations, he was always called by his Japanese name of King Koopa for some reason. In the Mario cartoon trilogy, for example. Though a few later episodes did sometimes call him Bowser Koopa. And in the original live-action Mario movie, Bowser's the president of an alternate New York where dinosaurs evolved into human form. For anyone who hasn't seen the Mario movie, the live-action one, yes, that really is the lore behind Bowser in the movie. The closest Bowser gets to looking like himself in the film is when he de-evolves into a T-Rex because he's the descendant of them, and... Man, early video game adaptations were weird. Anyway, this movie's failure can basically be blamed for the reason why Nintendo took kind of a hiatus from non-Pokemon adaptations for a while. But considering the 90s and 2000s were the dark age of video game movie, it's probably for the best. Though Bowser did make a cameo in Wreck-It Ralph alongside other classic gaming villains. In 2023, the Mario franchise finally made its big screen return with the Super Mario Bros. Movie. In this film, Bowser's played by Jack Black, and he gets an entire love ballad. Whoever came up with that needs a raise right now. So that's the story of Bowser. But we still got some related members of him, so let's look at them. First, we have the Koopalings, a group of 7 turtles who made their debut in Mario 3. This group consists of Larry, Morton, Wendy, Iggy, Lemmy, Roy, and Ludwig, who you fight in that order. They all have similar fighting styles. You just jump on their heads 3 times and you win, though some do things that make them more challenging, like how Wendy's projectiles never go away, or how Morton, Roy, and Ludwig create shockwaves that freeze you in place if you're on the ground. They return in the next installment, Wario World, of them being fought in a different order now, and there's more variety to their fights. After the Super Nintendo era, the Koopalings went on a bit of a hiatus. They made a surprise cameo in Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, but they wouldn't be seen in a mainline game again until their return in New Super Mario Bros. Wii, where afterwards they became definitive mainstays, appearing in all subsequent New Super Mario games, and they even became playable in Mario Kart 8. Alright, now I need to talk about the controversy with them. You see, for the longest time, the Koopalings were stated to be Bowser's children. However, shortly after the release of Mario Wii, it was stated the Koopalings are not actually his kids, they're just random child soldiers Bowser has. And to say the fandom did not take this well would be an understatement. There are some things a creator says about their franchise that people just refuse to listen to, and this is one of them. And I see their point. You can't just spend 20 years telling us characters are related only to suddenly back out of it. Some people got around this, however, by believing that they're not his biological children, but they're adopted, which is a much better thing to say than suddenly backtracking on something that's been lore for 20 years! In the Mario cartoons, the Koopalings were given different names for some reason. The only explanation I think I heard once is that they didn't have official names during production, and so they had to name them themselves, but that's only a half memory of something I'm not even sure was real, so don't take that as concrete evidence. In the Mario Party series, we were introduced to the Koopa Kids, a group of small Bowser-like creatures that were sometimes portrayed as more of his children, but they eventually disappeared from the franchise completely. Their last appearance was Mario Party 7, and anytime a minigame that featured them comes back, they're replaced by our next subject. In Mario Sunshine, we were introduced to what Nintendo considers Bowser's only child nowadays, Bowser Jr., not to be confused with Baby Bowser, who is Bowser as a baby. Anyway, in this game, Bowser Jr. is convinced that Princess Peach is his mother, so he dons the disguise known as Shadow Mario, and spreads pollution all over the game's island setting, which leads to Mario getting framed. Eventually, at the end of the game, after Bowser is defeated, he comes clean and reveals that he is not Peach's son. In fact, who Bowser Jr.'s mother is still a question that has no answer. Ever since this game, Bowser Jr. became a definitively main character of the franchise, usually showing up as Bowser's right-hand man, and he's been playable in most spin-offs, and then even made it into Smash Bros., where the Koopalings are his alts. Then we got the most confusing member of the Koopa family. Confusing because this is a guy who Nintendo keeps flip-flopping on if he's the same entity as Bowser or not. Dry Bowser. Dry Bowser first appeared in New Super Mario Bros. For the DS, and in this game, Bowser falls into lava as usual. This time his flesh melts off, leaving nothing but a skeleton, since in fiction, skeletons are indestructible. Everybody knows that. Anyway, at the end of the game, you fight against Dry Bowser, who throws bones instead of hammers and shoots blue flames. You knock him off a bridge, since even in death, Bowser's learned nothing. And then for the final boss, Bowser Jr. tosses the bones in a stew. That brings Bowser back to the fleshy world. Ever since this game, however, Dry Bowser has almost been portrayed as a different character. Not only is he a playable in Mario Kart, but he's also a separate character in Mario and Sonic series and Mario Party. And in that series, there's a game where Bowser just straight up refers to him like he's a separate entity. Like, he sees his own skeleton and talks about him like he's a different person. Like, imagine that happening in the real world. You just see your own skeleton and then you're just like, oh, hey, Dry me. Ugh. So what Dry Bowser is a major question. My theory, that others have, is that Dry Bowser's the skeleton of Bowser's brother. Now you might be thinking, hey, Bowser doesn't have a brother, but let me explain. In the Japanese Mario 2, there is a character who looked like Bowser, but blue. In these games, usually when you defeat a pre-final boss Bowser, they turn into something else. This guy remained the same sprite after he died. According to the manual, this is Bowser's brother, who never appeared again. And in later games, whenever he's referenced, he's just referred to as a fake Bowser. So my theory is that this guy died and is the skeleton, and he could be the father of the Koopalings. But that's just a theory. Well, that's the Bowser for you. And now, time for the main event that you probably all clicked on this video for. I didn't forget the song. Here we go. Alright, having to destroy any remaining sense of my dignity, but here we go. Peach, you're so cool. And with my star, we're gonna rule. Peach, understand. I'm gonna love you till the very end. Peaches, 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 I love you. Peaches, 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 I love you. Mario, Luigi, and a Donkey Kong too. 1,000 troops of Koopas couldn't keep me from you. Princess Peach, at the end of the line, I'll make you mine. Peaches, 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 I love you. Peaches, 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 Peaches! I remember the song. Oh, thank goodness. Never again.